She has scored 99.91 percentile in CAT 2023, did her summer internship in McKinsey and got a PPO. Welcome Riddhi on our podcast. आप कहाँ से join कर रहे हैं?
So Abhi, I'm joining from Switzerland.
Why you didn't join SRCC? Because you have scored 99.91 percentile in CAT. What was your strategy?
So I used to read around 3 to 4 articles daily.
If given a choice, would you rather come back to India, complete your MBA and join corporate here, or would you love to settle there and build a life?
Before we begin today's episode, let's have a food for thought. We all have been consuming news in one form or the other. Let's take the metaphor of news as food for the mind. Nowadays, news is loaded with masala and questionable additives. Headlines, half-baked. Ads, as annoying as elaichi in the biryani. Political news is like Loki, while Bollywood gossips are like pineapple sundaes. But we all want that homemade comforting dal rice or khichdi, right? Well, that's where dot comes in. It provides news that's simple and significant like a dot. It's 5 minutes a day, which you can pair it with a coffee, commute, or casual break. You can download the application via Google Play Store and Apple App Store and can also visit their website. All the links have been provided in the description box below. And today's conversation is powered by our knowledge partner, Dot News Made. Now, on to the episode.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Creators Podcast, where we explore dreams, stories, and success. And yes, we have taken a pause and now we are back. Back with some special series, especially for CAT aspirants out there, because for some of the episodes from now on, we will uncovering the journeys and we'll be taking insights of CAT toppers, past year CAT toppers. And today we have Riddhi Dugar with us, who is presently in second year in IIMB Bangalore. She has scored 99.91 percentile in CAT 2023 and did her summer internship in McKinsey and got a PPO. And over and above that, she is also a creator on LinkedIn with 60,000 plus followers. So welcome Riddhi on our podcast and thank you so much for joining in.
Hi Ankit, thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So before we delve deep into your journey and take insights out of it, सबसे पहले आप ऑडियंस को ये बताइए आप कहाँ से ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं?
Okay, so Abhi, I'm joining from Switzerland. I'm on my exchange term. So in between some travel and classes, I've decided to take a break, pause in my home base and join the podcast. So joining from Switzerland today.
So thank you so much for again joining in between your hectic schedule and of course a lot of travel coming on your way. Great. So a lot of my friends went for exchange. So I know a lot of travel will be coming on your way. So all the best and I hope you will make the best out of it.
Yes.
So my belief with this podcast is to gain insights out of creator's journey. So since you have created a very good personal brand of yours on LinkedIn, and in addition to that, doing very well in professional career as well. So we'll uncover your journey and we'll go back a bit in time and we'll see what insights can we gain out of it. And starting from your academics, as mentioned on your LinkedIn, you were topper in 10th, 11th, and 12th. So you have been academically bright student right from the start. You also got admitted in SRCC right after 12th. But you did not join, as you mentioned in one of the LinkedIn posts. We would like to know why you didn't join SRCC, because it's one of the most prestigious college to join after commerce.
Yeah, I get this question quite a bit. So yeah, I've always been pretty much into my academics, not because I was forced or anything, but because I genuinely like studying. I was very passionate about business. My father runs a business. So I think naturally I just studied for the fun of it and did pretty well. I knew about SRCC ever since I was in 8th grade. My grandfather introduced me to it, and I think I was striving for SRCC from a very long time, and I prepared accordingly and got 99% in my 12th. The reason I didn't go to SRCC is actually fairly personal. Two major things. Firstly, I think my grandfather's health wasn't very good. He passed away actually 2 months after I got admission. So I think at that time it was sort of a little difficult for me personally and for my family. So that was there. And I think it was my grandfather's dream for me to go there and even to IIM Bangalore, actually, which I eventually went to, but because of those circumstances. And secondly, it was also a COVID year. So I think there was a lot of uncertainty when it came to that. And I had already joined Stella Maris, a college in Chennai. So I had been doing 2 months of college and I fairly liked it over there. I think being in my hometown gave me a next level of personal comfort. Also, because I was very sure I wanted to prepare for CAT, I thought that if I was at home, it would give me a little bit more of comfort and advantage to prepare well for CAT and have more time to myself. So I think these two reasons combined, I decided it was better for me to stay in Chennai for the next 3 years and have like my ultimate focus on getting into an IIM.
Uh, okay, all the CAT aspirants and people who are creating their careers, planning to create their careers in MBA, we would like to know from your experience, because you have scored 99.91 percentile in CAT in 2023, what was your strategy in CAT section wise? So we can start with VRC first.
Perfect. So, just to give some context, I started preparing 1 year before the exam. So, I gave it in November 23, started preparing in November 22. That was, I think, my third semester of college. So, this was my first and final attempt of CAT, just to give that context. Prepared from 1 year. In terms of hours, I used to give around 2 to 3 hours every day.
Okay.
I would not say I prepared all 365 days, maybe like 300 to 320 days because I had my internship at Goldman Sachs in between. And of course, you have exams, college fest. So some days I prepared lesser, but on average, I prepared for 2 to 3 hours. So as you can see, that's not a lot. It's pretty less per day. And yeah, towards the end, I bumped it up to maybe say 4 or 5 hours. That is the last 3 months. To give section wise strategy, so starting with VARC, I think I worked the hardest for this section. So I had joined a coaching institute completely online. And one thing that they emphasized on for VARC was reading daily. So I used to read around 3 to 4 articles daily, and my sources were there's something called Bharat's reading list by 2IIM. So it has different articles. So I used to read different kinds of articles from there, like business, politics, fiction. Apart from that, I think Aeon is a very good source too. 1 or 2 articles from there on a daily basis. So this used to take me easily 30 to 45 minutes per day. And the reason I recommend doing this is most of your paragraphs that come in passages come from articles like this. So you get used to that. Secondly, it improves your reading speed and vocabulary. So reading speed really worked to my advantage. So the first 4 months, I pretty much did this only. After that, I started giving sectional tests. So I had purchased 2 test series. You can purchase any of those. I think Time and Cracky were the ones I bought personally. So I would do around, say, one sectional test every 2 days for the next 3 months, just to see where I'm at. And I realized that my reading speed was good. I was able to attempt all 24 questions, but I needed to work on accuracy. So then I started understanding that, okay, how to eliminate options. Usually 2 options are always wrong and 2 options are closed. So for the close options, I understood that maybe I need to go to a particular line or sentence and then get a hint. So that is pretty much what I did. And then the last 4 months, like from around, say, July up till November, were completely for mocks and just revising weak areas. So at that time, I used to give one mock almost every second or third
How many
day
mocks
because
you
I
gave?
wasn't. I gave 70 mocks,
Damn.
which is quite a bit. But I think I was in college and I had time in my hands and I was very motivated. I think even 30 mocks, if analyzed well, are good. But my last 4 months, I gave a lot of mocks. So that's where most of my VARC practice came from. And the days I wasn't giving mocks, I gave sectional tests for VARC. So I would say reading a lot of articles and then starting off with sectional tests and mocks are good enough for VARC. Coming to DILR, I really struggled with this section initially. So the way I started was previous year papers. So from 2017 onwards, I would try doing 2 sets a day. And you're just so lost when you start off. I had no idea. So I would watch the video solutions. 2IIM has free video solutions. So I would watch that, try and understand, okay, this is how you solve a set. Then go back to the set, try solving it on my own. And if I get lost in between, watch the video again. But the goal was by the end of the day, I can do 2 sets and I understand the method and logic it is solved. So did this for a month. I think I did all the sets until 2022. Pretty slow paced, but that worked for me. And by the end of that month, I understood that, okay, these are the kind of sets that come and there's a particular methodology you solve the sets. And a good thing was I was able to look at a set, read it for say 1 or 2 minutes and understand that, okay, this is type A set and I solve it this way. Post that, I again just did a lot of sectional tests. I think DILR sectional tests helped me the most, not only in terms of solving sets, but then also understanding, okay, how to scan this section. So I would spend like the first 3 minutes just scanning the section and then putting an order in terms of the ones I know I can do, being one, and then the one I think I can't do to four. So that also comes with just practicing a lot
Hmm.
of sectionals. And usually I would attempt two sets pretty well. And if I had 5 minutes, maybe attempt a third one with just say the theta question so that I don't get negative marking. But two sets was my strategy, and that worked pretty well for me because let's say I was doing a set also and I understood that, okay, I can't do this within the first 5 minutes, I would just switch to the other because usually you have an ego, but I would drop that in the first 5 minutes if I can't solve something. So yeah, I think this is what I did for DILR, and DILR actually did not prepare for 12 months like say VRC and quants. I started around January, so 9 months of prep. But yeah, just a lot of practicing sets, going back to the sets, and then the last 3-4 months doing those mocks and sectionals. Quants, my quants was average. I wouldn't say I was amazing at it. So I started from scratch. I referred this book called Sarvesh Kumar. I know a lot of people use, I think Arun Sharma, that's the
Hmm.
other book.
Hmm.
Any book basically. But what I did was I practiced all the questions over there, level one, level two examples, and started off with arithmetic, algebra, and then the other sections just because arithmetic and algebra have the highest weightage. So this took me 4-5 months to practice all those questions, did that very sincerely, around 20 to 30 questions a day, sort of. And then once I was done with that, again, just a lot of mocks and sectionals, I figured that I wasn't very good at geometry. So I would usually scan this section for again 3-4 minutes, pick around 15 questions I knew I could do, and try solving those. So that strategy worked pretty well with me. Usually I would get around 11 to 12 right, and that's good enough to, cross 97, 98 percentile in
Hmm.
this section
Hmm.
alone. So that worked well with me. But yeah, overall, I would say that for any aspirant, finish the syllabus within, say, 4-5 months. But the last 3 months, practice a lot of mocks and sectionals, analyze them well enough because as much as practice is important, it's very important to have a good strategy in terms of like every section, and also getting used to writing things in an exam environment, because it's very different when you're sitting at home practicing things versus when you're in the pressure in that zone. So the last month what I did was I would go to like an exam center. So time mocks, even if you're not a full-time student, you can go to an exam center and attempt the CAT. So I would do that. I would go to a computer center and attempt it, and
Hmm.
that really put me in the zone of taking an exam. I also gave the NMAT before CAT just so that I was used to, say, writing another exam, and I scored well in that. So that gave me some confidence before going into CAT as well. So, yeah, these are a few things I did to sort of do well in the CAT.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think this will be very helpful for the aspirants out there. एंड इससे मेरे को भी अपनी जर्नी याद आ गई हाउ आई वाज आल्सो प्रिपेयरिंग ब्रेकिंग सबसे पहले पूरा सिलेबस को इन चंक्स डूइंग दैट अटेम्प्टिंग सेक्शनल्स देन डूइंग मॉक्स फेलिंग देम इन द स्टार्ट बिकॉज तब सिलेबस पूरा नहीं हुआ था देन स्लोली एंड स्लोली उनको एनालाइज करके देन रिफाइनिंग माई स्ट्रेटजी सो thank you so much for sharing your strategy. And in fact, in one of the LinkedIn posts, you have mentioned that CAT is more of strategy and luck rather than simply preparing for the concepts and all. So, would you like to share something on that? कि कैसे तुमने strategize किया था? And because you gave 70 mocks, how did you make sure that you are tracking it, analyzing it, and then again improving on the go?
Yeah, so I'll answer like the first question. So strategy comes with giving mocks. Like as you mentioned, your first few mocks you didn't do well because you didn't finish syllabus. I also didn't do very well in my first 5-6 mocks because I didn't have a clear cut strategy. Although I finished syllabus, so after giving those mocks, I figured what works well for me. When it comes to VARC, I realized I have good reading speed. So I would attempt all the 24 questions. I was usually able to do that. And that was my strategy. And always, invariably, I noticed a pattern in all my mocks. I would get around 15 to 16 questions right, which was enough to get me a 40 plus score in this section, which is a pretty good high percentile. So that was my strategy for VRC. I know different people have different strategies. Some attempt only say 3 passages and then all the other questions, or some attempt only passages and not like the VA part. But for me, attempting everything worked best because of my reading speed. Coming to DILR, I mentioned I would spend the first 3-4 minutes scanning through this section. That meant reading the questions, and roughly I would get an idea ki, theek hai, okay, this set is an arrangement set, or this set is more of, say, a DI set. And I would put an order of questions in terms of easiest to most difficult for me. Strategy was to solve two sets. So I would usually take around 15 minutes each, and I would be at 35 minutes. 5 minutes, I would pick a third one, and usually I would just try the Tita ones. If I was lucky, I would probably get one right. But yeah, solving two was a priority. Sometimes, of course, I would pick a set and get stuck, but the strategy is always if I'm 4-5 minutes in and I feel like the set's going nowhere, I have no idea, I just pick the next one. So usually with this, I would always get a 20 plus score because I would solve one set well because I spend time and do it accurately. But most days, 30 plus is what I would get. And I think that works well enough.
Great.
So that's what happened on the real CAT exam day too. Coming to quants, again, scan this section for 3-4 minutes and figure out what are the questions I could solve. Usually, I'll just note down the question numbers and then start solving them. I was very good at arithmetic, algebra, not so good at the other parts of quant. So I would mostly attempt these kind of questions and again end up getting around 12, 13 right. So that was sort of my strategy section by section. Coming to, I think, the luck part of it, of course, it depends a lot on like your mindset for the day, how much you slept, and how well you're able to keep your nerves. Because I remember the first 5 minutes of the exam during the VARC section, I completely blanked out. I was so nervous, extremely. I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself. So I felt like it was all gone. But then after the first 5 minutes, I put myself together and attempted VARC. And very rightfully so, my first set was entirely wrong. So I had gotten 16 questions right, and 4 questions that were wrong were the first one, the beginning, where I was extremely nervous. So if that went on longer, I could have performed worse. So that's what I meant by the luck. But strategy, again, I just applied the same strategy as all my mocks into the day, and it worked well for me. Coming, I think, to the next question, which, if I'm not wrong, was about
Analyzing the mocks.
analyzing and tracking. Yeah. So what I would do was I would maintain an Excel sheet. I would put like the test provider and then my section wise scores, my section wise percentiles, and my overall percentile. I would sort of maintain track like that just to see where my percentiles are and how much I'm fluctuating. Apart from that, I think since I would give a mock every other day, I would never give a mock on 2 consecutive days. I would spend the second day or maybe the same day completely analyzing the mock. So I would see where are the questions I went wrong, redo that. Also attempt the questions I did not attempt, maybe because I didn't know how to attempt it or I didn't have enough time. So I would check out the solutions. And even the ones I did right, especially in areas like VRC, etc., I would see the logic by which, it was right, so that I try and apply the same logic in subsequent mocks. So I think I would always look at a mock afterwards and complete all the questions and understand the logic behind answers. Apart from that, if I realize, like, let's say I give 4 mocks and I see that in quants, this was more intuitive. I didn't maintain track, which is probably wrong, but that's what worked for me. I realized that, okay, let's say in geometry, I was not doing well for like the last 4-5 mocks. I would revisit the textbook and practice again. So I think that's what I did. Invariably in quants, I realized my geometry was really lacking. And even though I could completely skip the section, sometimes there are 1 or 2 very easy questions that you can always attempt. So I redid like the entire geometry part again, practiced it once more. Also, like once or twice, I felt like because I was so much at it, I was spending 4-5 days for the CAT every day. I stopped giving mocks for 1 week. I needed that break. A lot of people may feel that as well. And that really helped me as well.
Great. Again, मेरे को फिर से अपना याद आ गया, and especially the fact that you said कि you the very first VRC set that you attempted, you were nervous, quite nervous. In fact, in my first, so I cleared CAT and went to IIMB during my second attempt. My first attempt,
Correct.
DLR set, again I got nervous, looked at the sets, and I wasn't able to solve in a single set. I mean, I did, but that was not, the accuracy took a hit. And that was a moment I panicked, and then it went away. So yeah, so for all the aspirants out there, give a lot of mocks, and preferably, especially at the end, I mean at the last 2 months, give in a simulated environment, and of course strategize. Completing the syllabus या concept करना एक चीज है, but how are you solving each and every section in a time bound manner is one thing, as Riddhi also mentioned. So thank you, Riddhi, for sharing the insights out of your practice journey. I hope it will help the aspirants. And then you went to IIM Bangalore. So again, how was your experience here? And if I'm not wrong, just correct me if I'm wrong, you were around 21-year-old at that point in time.
Yeah, I was. So I think I turned 21 and 2 days after that, I got my IIM Bangalore results. So Yeah, I,
So
I just got done with college. I think I gave my last college exam, turned 21 that day, and 2 days later got my IIM Bangalore admit. So I think that was a great moment for me and my family. They certainly didn't expect me to go to IIM Bangalore at that age. So yeah. In terms of my IIM Bangalore experience, so initially when I'd entered B school, I went through complete imposter syndrome because everybody is super intelligent, right? I
hmm,
was gold medalist of my undergrad, but there's gold medalists of IITs, SRCCs, CA rankers. I didn't have work experience. I just interned and PPO'd at Goldman, but there were people with amazing work experience. There were people who were at manager level who joined. So I felt the imposter syndrome. And going in, of course, it is a very competitive environment with the way your classes are structured because you have relative grading.
hmm.
And also, your summer internship prep starts within the first month of college. So you're making a CV, getting it reviewed. And at that time, you just feel like, is my CV good enough? Am I going to get the shortlist I want? So, yes, initially, I felt like it took me some time to adjust, understand relative grading, and also sort of believe in myself. But after the first term, I really started liking my B school journey because of a few reasons. I think I found a really good group of people over there, a good group of friends who supported me through my journey. So that really helped me a lot. And I think most people who have a good B school experience have a very good friend group. Apart from that, I figured out the rhythm of academics, understood how I needed to study, how I needed to participate in class, and how to manage my time. So my GPA steadily increased as well to term three, made it to the director's merit list, that is the top 5%. So I was really aiming for that, and I was quite happy I was able to do that as well. And the best thing about IIM Bangalore, I feel like, is you have good enough amount of time to do things other than academics,
Hmm.
which I really appreciate. We have a 4 day work week, which is good. It is intense, but we also have a 3 day weekend to do things like, say, SIP prep, focus on sports, spending time with friends, family, etc. So that really helped me. I got into swimming. The swimming team over there helped me during a lot of times where it was very intense with SIP, etc. SIP season as well, I prepared for, got into my dream firm. So that was pretty great for me as well. And I think term three, we had club run, etc. So I am very active with social media in general. So joining the student media cell and creating content and doing things like that got me really excited as well. So I think overall it was great. I think good learning experience, very humbling for me, especially in my first term. But once I figured out things and understood how to navigate through B school, what my priorities were, in terms of, say, SIP or grades and how I wanted to spend my time, it was good. On a personal level, I think Bangalore and Chennai, where I'm from, are pretty close.
Hmm.
So it was great knowing that home was, just a train away, and I have family in Bangalore as well. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with my experience at IIM Bangalore. Met incredibly smart people, got incredibly humbled, but then in the end of the day, learned a lot and achieved some of the things I really aspired to do.
Amazing. The fact that you mentioned you were in the directors list, मतलब starting से ही आप academically bright and it's been continuing even now because even for going to exchange, you have to be in some top percentile of the total batch. So great. I mean, really. I mean, I went back to my IM experience as well. So thank you again for sharing your journey. But yeah, in such a young age, you have achieved so much. Right from the start, right from your school, then college, even the internship that you had during your undergrad, that was in Goldman, again, a very big brand. And you also had PPO. Then cracking CAT, acing CAT, if I, I would have to say. Then coming to IIM Bangalore, cracking McKinsey, getting PPO, and then now in exchange. Super amazing, super inspirational. But if I would have to ask you, like, what are your three quality of yours that you feel you have made achieve so much in your life?
Right. First of all, I think there's a lot to go. Miles to go is what I would like to think in terms of what I'm aspiring for in a career. This is just, I would say, the very beginning of things, and touch wood, I hope things go well. In terms of, I wouldn't say qualities, but I would say like the three things or three events or people in general that helped me. I think first and foremost, maximum credit I would give is to the family support I have. I think both my parents, ever since a young age, have always told me to strive to have a great career, be financially independent, and follow my dreams. So I think that really helped me. It was my father and grandfather who introduced me to the IIM. In fact, even before the CAT, my parents drove me 2 hours. They waited through the time at the center. And even after the exam, we went out, had a nice brunch, and they were like, if you ace it, great. Otherwise, you have one more year. You're so young. You don't need to worry. So yeah, I think definitely that, even in terms of my exchange, which we'll talk about, they have encouraged me the most. So I think family support, my sister as well, who's younger, but I think a lot of times when you're troubled and, crying about or worried about things like, say,
Hmm.
SIP or grades at IIM, it is my family who really came into play. Secondly, I think I'm a very goal oriented person, in the sense that I always have something that I strive for or look forward to next. So I keep working for something in that process on a daily basis. So I think just consistent daily efforts is what compounded into the big results. Like even the CAT percentile, 99.91, sounds good, but it was 1 year of a lot of hard work and a decent amount of sacrifices, I would say. So everything came with a cost and some amount of daily consistent hard work. And I think the third thing is just clarity, because as I said, I was very sure from a young age I wanted to do IIM, I wanted to do McKinsey, and whatever next
Hmm.
steps I have planned for myself, I have sort of a clear path in my head. So because of that, I think I was always able to put in efforts and I never really deviated too much. And luckily for me, touchwood, I seem to like most of what happened. I really liked IIMB or my internship at McKinsey and whatever I plan to do next. So I think these three things helped me the most.
From your journey, we would like to answer from a point of view for a 20-year-old. So let's say any 20-year-old watching this episode, from your journey, whatever experience that you had academically, then working professionally, working in B school, working in different kinds of environment. Again, 20-year-old creating his or her own career professionally, want to do academically well. What are your one the most important do and one most important don't?
Yeah, so I think the most important do is to put in consistent daily efforts. Like even in college, to achieve the gold medal, I studied almost on a daily basis. So whatever was covered in class, I would come back home, I would do my gym, I would rest, or sometimes I would go out with my friends. But then I would always spend some amount of time catching up with what was done in college, preparing much before the exams. So for anything that is achieved, a lot of daily consistent work has gone through being CAT college. So make sure that you have a daily planner of sorts and you try and stick to what you want to do for the day. Of course, this won't happen every day, but
Hmm.
it should ideally happen 90 to 95% of the days. That amount of discipline should be there. Don'ts, I would say that definitely don't get carried away with peer pressure or get distracted. I think, in this day and age, there's so many distractions, be it social
Hmm.
media, different substances, or anything which your peers are doing. Be true to yourselves. I think yourself. I think that is something I learned from a young age, and I've always done things in terms of what I wanted to do. So I never really got carried away or distracted. And yeah, but I would say one more thing, like all work and no play makes you very dull and serious. So definitely have something as a hobby that keeps you going. For example, in my 3 years of college, I was really into gymming. I would go to the gym every single day, no matter what, even during CAT. And that, of course, kept me very fit, but that also kept me in a very mentally good state.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think it's very important to have one hobby, ideally good for your mind and for your body, but at least for one.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those tips for aspirants or for people out there, young people out there. And for again, people watching this episode, Riddhi also shares insights from her journey on LinkedIn as well. And she has a very good follower base on LinkedIn, which is 60, around 60K plus now. And fact is that she has got this much followership in just around 1.3 years or so. When you actually crack the cat, your first post was, if I'm not wrong, was the cracking the cat, and then you asking guidance for interviews. So, how did LinkedIn happen, and how so much? I mean, you have observed a lot. I mean, the growth. Every post that you post now goes around 1K plus reactions. So you have seen like explosion on the LinkedIn. What worked for you, And first of all, how LinkedIn happened?
Yeah, so actually, my first post was, of course, about my CAT score and more so about asking guidance. So I remember I used to come across a lot of posts of people when they cracked the CAT or got into top B schools, and that sort of served as motivation and inspiration for me when I was preparing for the CAT. In fact, I had reached out to so many people like that randomly on LinkedIn and got advice for them from them. So for me, I think my first post was more so just like a feeling of personal happiness. I wanted to just share that I did well in the CAT because I had seen so many posts like that, and of course, I knew that if it came across to people, I could ask for help as well. So that was my first post, and it got some amount of traction. And I also got help from a few people. In fact, some of my seniors at IIM Bangalore also. But then I had taken a brief break. I remember I didn't post very actively until I got into IIM
Fine.
Bangalore. Um, Very honestly, I remember when I got into IIM Bangalore, a few people had reached out to me on my DMs asking me how I prepared for CAT, a lot of people from my college. And I thought that I could just prepare one post which sort of summarize my CAT journey and then share it to them so that it's easier. So that is why I put my first post, and that sort of blew up. And then, of course, it follows with more questions, right? Like, okay, what was your section wise
Hmm.
strategy? And then when I got into IIM Bangalore, how was your journey? So I started using LinkedIn more so to document my personal experiences and my journey, be it say at IIM Bangalore, or how different terms look like, what is an MBA student's life, how is an SIP, and then I started talking more about my journey in college because a lot of people from UG started reaching out to me. So it more so just became about my professional experiences and my professional journey. Started off completely by chance. I never planned to post actively on LinkedIn. But then once I realized that it is helping people, I was really happy. Even now, today, I try and reply to all my DMs. I don't have top mate. I don't charge anything for advice, only because I feel like I've reached out to so many people through LinkedIn and they've helped me. And this is one way I can give back in my free time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now there is one last section that we do. It's called the Creators Connect, where I'll simply ask you two questions and then you have to, of course, answer it. So
Sure.
we know, and मेरे लिए भी ये पहला international podcast हो रहा है technically because you are in Switzerland, I am in India. So again, I am also excited for this. But you are there in Europe for an exchange for next 3 months. Which country are you most excited for and why?
So I'm actually the most excited for UK, which is technically not even part of the European Union. But I'm excited because one of my friends studies at the Oxford University, and I've always wanted to visit Oxford and sort of, go to the library over there, look at the culture over there. So I'm super, super excited, and that's also going to be a solo trip of mine.
Hmm.
So really excited to do that as well, funded by myself for the first time in my life because I've not worked before. So super, super excited for that. I think apart from that, I'm also very excited just to show my friends who are going to be coming to Switzerland from various other universities in Europe, because I was very keen to explore every single canton in Switzerland. So that's another goal of mine as well at this exchange.
Super amazing. Chalo, all the best for your trips ahead. My second question is, if given a choice, would you rather come back to India, complete your MBA, and join corporate here, or would you love to settle there and build a life there?
So I think I would probably choose the second. Only reason being, I've always wanted to study and live abroad and experience a new life. I love India. I love my family and friends over there. But I think being abroad teaches you a lot in terms of yourself, also interacting with various other international students. So I think I would want to experience something. In fact, today my father was telling me that if it's possible, just finish your sixth term, get a dual degree from Switzerland, and settle there itself. Because I really like it over here. Have made a lot of new friends and have learned a lot about European culture. So yeah, I would probably say that. But again, it's just been like some time, and I don't know at the end of my 3 months what I feel like.
Hmm. Amazing. So thank you so much, Riddhi, again, for sharing all the insights from your journey so far. I hope it will definitely benefit all the CAT aspirants, and in fact, very young minds, bright minds who want to create their career in professional world, learning from your insights from your journey, and of course, a lot to come from your in the journey in the future as well. So thank you so much for again coming to our podcast and sharing your journey.
Thank you so much, Ankit. I hope this was insightful to everybody who is listening as well.